It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is some brand new L.A. Guns, believe it or not. And, from The Devil You Know, and probably my favorite track from that is Stay Away, because it is such a throwback song. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of Electric Gypsy from the debut release.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And on the phone, the guy who could tell us all about this new release is the one and only Phil Lewis. How are you, Phil?
Awesome. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And you're right. It does. The song "Stay" off of "The Devil You Know" really does have an Electric Gypsy feel, especially in the tempo. Just the driving freight train, the riff, and that was the first release from the album. Although "The Devil You Know," the song, the album. The title track, we've been playing for a few months now. We've been playing that live, and that's been going down well. I call it Sabbath but blacker. Just everything's good. We have to pick 3 songs from this new record to add in our new set, and that is certainly one of them. As is Rage. I think we're going to be opening our set with Rage for all of this year.
Right. Well, Phil, the interesting thing there, and I'm glad you brought that up, is that a lot of veteran bands such as LA Guns with brand new material, unfortunately, a lot of bands, even though they have a brand new record out, oftentimes they don't feature but maybe one song from the CD because they're so enslaved to their back catalog that go, well, we can only fit one song in from the new one because everybody wants to hear Ballad of Jane, Electric Gypsy, Sex Action.
And like quite often that's a prelude to a bathroom or a beer room exodus, a break. You're on thin ice, you're taking a big chance when you go, well, we're going to play a new one, almost apologetically, that can clear a room like nothing else. But it's never been a problem for us, from the moment we started doing stuff off of the missing piece, which was Speed. There was never any complaints or any dip in the crowd at all when we did that. But it's so difficult. You're right, for us to, because we're constantly writing, putting out new stuff. It's very difficult for us to figure out how we're going to do it. Consequently, it's sort of made it difficult for us to play festivals and, like all-day events and, events that, would basically give us 35, 45-minute set. We can't do that. We're just not, it's not the kind of band we are. Lots of bands are, and good luck to them, and they can go out and do the whole nostalgia trip and really, really good luck to them. They're making everybody happy. But, I don't see it like I see us as a new band breaking out. I don't see it as the nostalgic act that very much me and the other lineup, the former lineup, kind of got sucked into. I was desperate to get away from that. And I'm quite happy, people will be like, well, you could play this great big festival stage with your peers. Or you can go and play some crappy sports bar, and I'm like, yes, we'll play the crappy sports bar. Thank you. And if with a bit of luck, we can play it 2 nights. We can play it 2 nights consecutively. One night we'll do old classic stuff, Electric Gypsies, Never Enough, and the following night we'll do all the new shit. And that's fine. That is fine. We're okay with that. On a monetary level, it's the same, about the same as they'd give us for a slot on one of these festivals. So we don't care. It's fine. We make it work and we do it on our own terms.
Right. Well, Phil, I gotta compliment you. I've been a long time LA Guns fan from the very beginning, and I've helped promote a lot of your releases through the years. And what amazes me about you on a personal level is that your voice has always been just stellar. And on this release, this is like a throwback. I would comfortably place this new release in between the debut and Cocked and Loaded.
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah, you know, I take care of my voice, and it's taking care of me. I you know, when we started talking about the reunion, Tracy mentioned that he had a buddy in New York that he was co-writing with, that was an excellent engineer and also a vocalist, and he thought it'd be a really good idea to pair Mitch Davis and I up together. And that's what we did on the first record, and it went really, really incredibly well. And so we did the same thing on this record as well, on The Devil. And yeah, you know, Mitch is such a good musician. He's such a good engineer and collaborator. So he was, you know, it was just me and him in the studio. It's not Tracy and the guys. It's not like, you know, the old days where when all the tracks are done and everyone goes out and the singer goes in the booth. It's a lot more intense than that. You know, I fly to New York and I'm there for 4, 5, 6 days, and it's just intense vocal recording like 3 songs a day, doing each song like 5, 10 times, and you know, really serious work. But I love it, and as I said, Mitch is I've learned a lot, and he pushes me to do go in directions that I've never done before. Like for example, on Going High, that song, it just, I didn't know I could sing like that. I just really didn't. And, you know, while we were working at it and I was getting ready for the studio and going in and doing it, you know, I'm rehearsing it and I'm like, damn, I am never going to, this is just crazy. I'm never going to hit these notes. But obviously I did. There's no auto-tune. There's very little effects. And it turned out great. And he as far as like recording goes, he's got a big part in how good I'm sounding now, and me too, taking care of myself before shows, doing warm-ups, keeping my trap shut after shows, not smoking, not holding court, especially, you know, if I've got 4 or 5 shows in a row. I've really got to take care of it, you know, especially if I'm doing challenging stuff. You know, it's different in the old days. I could do Sex Action and Never Enough you know, like I could do that 10 nights a week. But this is a bit more challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Phil, tell me a little bit about the philosophy of recording a new record these days. I mean, obviously everybody knows the state of the music industry and with downloading and, you know.
Sure. Well, you know, we know it's a futile endeavor going in. You could actually call it a folly, if you like. You know, we're not going to sell millions of records. We'll be honestly lucky if the thing pays for itself. People, you know, the day it comes out, it's essentially given away, and it's incredibly frustrating. But it's, you know, Tracy sits on that tour bus all day when we're waiting to go do a gig or a sound check, and he's playing his guitar, and he's got it plugged into an iPad or his phone, into GarageBand, and he's writing songs all the time. And now we could just sit around and just ignore it and go, oh, fuck it, it's not worth it, it's futile, it's a folly. Or we can just say, fuck it, let's, you know, Frontiers have given us a go, let's do it. I know we just did one less than 2 years ago, but let's see. And I don't really care, you know, I don't really care if it doesn't sell millions of copies and it doesn't buy me a Porsche or Ferrari. That's fine, you know, we accept that going in. And it'll pay back. It's paid back dividends. You know, our attendance is skyrocketed since The Missing Piece came out.
Right.
And you know, people know there's a big difference. You can go and see countless bands playing music from the last century on their nostalgia tours, and that's great. Good luck to them. But that's not us.
Right. Well, let me ask you, Phil, has the inspiration for writing new material regenerated itself since teaming back up with Tracy? I mean, obviously you and Steve and that lineup put up several CDs over, a 15, 18-year period there. But you just mentioned the missing.
They were good CDs too, and I'm proud of them. And everything. I don't have any bad feelings about it at all. But they're not LA Guns, Then Tales from the Strip is great. Hollywood Forever's great. But if Tracy's not on it, then it's not LA Guns. It's simple as that, And the first moment I got back in this reunion, that just became abundantly clear that it's the chemistry between the two of us that is LA Guns. And the same way, I think he'll agree. Anything that he did, he recorded, put records out that perhaps using other singers. They're good, and there's work to be proud of, but it's not LA Guns. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And another question, we've talked about this on the Classic Metal Show many times. When it comes down to signature bands, it always comes down to the vocalist and the guitarist. You ever notice that?
Yeah, I mean, they're countless. Roger and Pete and Stephen and Joe and Paul and George. It's Paul and John. Yeah, there's that's a connection between singers and guitarists. When I first flew out in 1988 to the daunting task of joining this band that I'd never met before, and just basically just upheaving my life and just taking such a huge leap of faith. My audition, when we were, it was just a little rehearsal room in West Hollywood, and, the band was setting up and they were tuning and dialing in their amps and whatnot. I went over to my microphone, just sitting by itself in the center of the stage, and I just checked it to see how, check, 1, 2, see working. And it was so cute. Tracy looked up and tuning his guitar. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's all right. Yeah, you do. You got the gig." And that was my audition. And that's all I did. Is I just went up to the mic and said 1, 2.
Right.
So he knew right from the get go that I was the guy, and it didn't take me long to figure out it was reciprocal.
Well, Phil, looking at the whole back catalog here from this one, The Devil all the way back, where would you place this one as far as maybe your favorite in the LA Guns catalog?
Well, it's always the new record is always one's favorite. It's just the nature, isn't it? It's the one that you just worked so hard on. To be honest with you, it's a different band. I think of it as being a bridge over a river. And there was an old bridge, and it was built 100 years ago, and it served the community well. But, it started to get a bit cloudy and falling apart. So quite often, they'll build a new bridge, a parallel bridge, right next to the old one. It's the same bridge, the same name, and does serves the same community. But it's just like a massive upgrade, and that's how I see LA Guns right now. It's that old bridge. It's sort of dilapidated, and yeah, it was good. It served us well, but this is a new band. This is a brand new machine. It's the musicianship of Shane Fitzgibbon and Johnny Martin. It's just so. It's light years ahead of the original lineup, of the lineup on the debut and Cocked and Loaded. It's just so much more sophisticated now. And even though it sounds like a raw punk rock record, and it is, but don't be deceived. There's a lot of work. It sounds like it's throwaway, but it's not. It's a lot of work involved in it.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed there's a lot of different influences in this disc. I definitely hear some Zeppelin influences there. And, obviously LA Guns has their own sound. They have their established sound.
I hope so.
What do you take away from this release? I mean, what did you draw upon as far as, thinking this is kind of the direction of this record for us? Because I notice it's a very high energy record. Almost every song on it is like on steroids.
Yeah, well, I knew when Tracy was putting it together and he was playing us his ideas that it was going to be this kind of record. I take away great satisfaction of being the last one to record and going out and by myself and immersing myself in New York with Mitch and it's slightly terrifying, to have the task is daunting. Don't make no mistake, and just when it's done, I'm exhausted and my head's spinning, but it's such a great feeling that we pulled it off, and it's just always the singer goes last, obviously, and we had a break in the tour in the summer, and I flew to New York and did these vocals, and literally the day after I finished, I flew out to Chicago and we picked up the tour bus and we drove to Indiana and we carried on touring. I've never done that before. When you record, you tend to be off the road. You just focus on the recording, and that wasn't the case with this one. We did this one. We did this one on the fly while we were touring.
Now, was this record a group effort? The newer members of LA Guns contributing, or was this primarily you and Tracy, or how did the writing process work?
Total teamwork. Johnny and Shane, they're bringing all kinds of stuff in, songs, music. Shane, for the most part, is engineering. He engineered 85% of the record. Johnny's contributing into the writing, and even our management. Scotty Ludwig is we were talking about titles. The original working title wasn't Yesterday Great, and we had that for a while, and it was okay. It was kind of I don't know, it was a cute sort of play on words, and that was all right, but it was way too cute for the style of this record. So we were like, well, what else we got? And then we're like, well, what about Gravity's in Control? Because that's a line in one of the songs. Yeah. And so we started talking about, the imagery and what the album would look like. The space guy in a spacesuit floating high above Earth's orbit. And we're like, yeah, that's it. And Scotty, our manager, goes, what the fuck are you guys smoking? He goes, we can't do nothing with a guy in a spacesuit floating above the Earth. He goes, give me something tangible. Give me something I can do something with merch. I can do something with posters and T-shirts and it's going to look good on a backdrop. Not a fucking astronaut. And we were like, oh, yeah, of course. And it was, the title had been right in front of us right from the beginning. And sometimes, you don't see the woods for the trees. And it took Scotty giving us a kick up the arse going, look, don't try and get too clever, guys. It's definitely not just a me and Tracy project. We are the nuclear down, but it's very much a team.
Perfect. Well, looking back, Phil, did you ever think that LA Guns would have lasted this long? Looking back to 1988, here we are 31 years later.
No. Honestly, I thought when I got the gig, the call for to come out and check out the band, I thought I'd be out in LA for a couple of months and it would be a fun little holiday, an adventure. I didn't expect it, and when the first record came out, and it sold, 1,000 copies, and then soon after 10,000 copies. We're just so pleasantly surprised. And, we had our run, we went from like 88 to 92. And, we knew during the recording of Vicious Circle, it was over. The media had run out, the genre was all over. And it was like, okay, I accept that. And I moved on, and I became a family guy, and I got a real job. I started working at Fox Television, and I did that for 4 years. And honestly, every day of that 4 years, I never once thought, oh, I've got to get back into it. I've got to, this isn't for me. This isn't. I was honestly quite happy with it. And with my colleagues at work, they were all for the most part, ex-musicians. And I just thought that was the way it is. I had my run, and I should be happy about it. And it didn't take too long, 4 years or so. And then, Nick Cripps calls me and goes, look, we've been offered a record deal. How do you feel about getting the old band together? And we did an original lineup reunion in 2001. And it was fun. It was great. It was all right. And we put some new music together. It wasn't very good, I'll be honest. No one raves about Black Beauties or it's one of the more obscure records, and that's fine. But yeah, as I say, you don't give up the road gives up you, and clearly the road's not ready to give me up just yet.
Right. Well, I got to tell you, Phil, one of my all-time favorite LA Guns release, aside from this brand new one, was Waking the Dead. That one just ripped my face off, and it still does.
Yeah, that's where we left off. It was an unfortunate time because we had this great new record. It was heavy as fuck, and we thought that it was going to do great things for us, and it was going to separate us from the pack, but it didn't. They still had us going on at 3:00, and these county fair festivals, and Tracy was like, "Fuck it, I'm done. I'm over it. I just can't bear it anymore." And he fucked off, and I don't blame him. He had a good reason to. Him and Nicky put Bride for Destruction together. But, me and Riley, we were like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to, carry on? Are we going to, throw in the towel? And we decided we'd carry on. And we did, and honorably, and we did a great job, and I'm, as I said, I'm real proud of the stuff that we did together. I've got nothing bad to say about Steve Riley. We did thousands of shows, millions of miles. It just, he slowed down, and I wasn't ready to do that, and that's the difference. That's all.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you guys are still out there doing what you do. You guys are stronger than ever. This new disc is fantastic. I mean, it's such a throwback to the glory days of LA Guns. I mean, when I heard this for the first time,
reviews have been incredible and killer. We haven't seen a bad review yet. Bitchy comments, yeah, of course, but in terms of people who know their shit, it's like the reviews have been stellar.
Yeah, well, it's a great record through and through. So
thank you.
There
you go. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, but I love LA Guns. I love you guys as friends, and you guys are always welcome on my show anytime, regardless whether you're promoting anything or not. If you just wanted to be a third mic, you'd be more than welcome to do so.
All right, I appreciate it. And so if I started the interview bawling like a baby.
Well, Phil, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. Is there anything else about this new release you want to tell the fans about, or something to point out that I haven't touched on?
Just thank the fans for the support, and we appreciate it. And is out on vinyl. And I don't know about you, but I'm big. I'm totally back into my record player and stacking up my records, and it's such a ritual. Picking a record, taking it out the sleeve, and putting it on the turntable. We have the ability to do. Our fans have the ability to do that, and I highly recommend they do, because it's a real unique, special experience, and it really does bring the listener very close to the band, to the musicians, as opposed to just streaming it on YouTube. It's a lot more. You get a lot more. It's a lot more gratifying than just streaming it.
Absolutely.
That's all.
All right. Well, the new release is out at the end of this month on Frontiers Records. The name of this CD is called The Devil You Know. LA Guns is back in a big way. And Phil, we always let our artist pick a song from the new disc before we end the interview and maybe tell us a story about it. So what do you think we should play?
Okay, we'll play Gone Honey. That was when we were writing and recording. That was one of my favorite songs. I just sort of latched on to it. You listen to it, you can hear a huge Blue Oyster Cult influence.
I definitely heard that.
You hear the riff of it's very, very similar.
Don't Fear the Reaper, for sure.
Yeah, but we changed the notes a little bit, okay, so it's not exactly the same. And then the song itself, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think it has a very Cult, not Blue Oyster Cult, but the other Cult, the Ian Astbury, Billy Duffy Cult.
Right.
It has that vibe. So we immersed ourselves in all things Cult
Very good.
on that record, and I'm real proud of the way it turned out. And I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I like that one a lot. And everyone's going to be playing. The obvious Rage and Stay Away. So I'm going to do a slightly deeper cut and go with that.
Perfect. All right. Well, the new LA Guns, The Devil You Know, will be out on the 29th of March on Frontiers Records. And so here it is. This is something brand new. This one is Gone Honey, exclusively here on Your Classic Metal Show.